Hi guys, I'm just off the Zoom call and I actually have the photograph that I took of Lily earlier, and I thought I wanted to do just a little bit more to the mouth from the photo. So let's just see. I don't know if it's exactly the same position, but what I wanted to do was to adjust this shape here so that you can see something of the lifting off thing. So I've got the damp brush, and there's quite a lot of light on the corner of the mouth here. There's a light patch there that I can lift off, and so I'm not wanting to push the colour that I've lifted off back in, so cleaning the brush and then touching it on the paper towel, and I'm just going to find a way to carve the shape that I'm seeing. Now, I don't want to carve into that area because it is quite dark there to describe the corner of the mouth, but I do want to soften that hard edge that was there in order to create an undulating feeling of the lip. And I'm constantly going back and washing the brush and drying it. So this is, I was suggesting to you, that you stick your phone there so that you can see the model and see the board by only moving your eyes. If you're having to work from a photo rather than from life, that's a good solution, I think. And you know, there's ways of carving in to get the particular curve of Lily's lips. So you can put down a shape that's it feels quite free, because you know that you have the capacity then. It's not that you don't look at the shape, but you put it down a general enough shape that you have the capacity, if you wanted to come back in with the possibility to carve out. So that's what's happening now that it's dried a little bit. Just carving out some little things, you know, like softening hard edges maybe. Maybe creating a little bit more depth by lifting out around the pupil, or just, you know, to give it a bit more detail. And I might lift off a little bit more of the eyelid. The light on the eyelid is a really helpful light. And then between the eyebrow and the eye, there's a triangle of really bright skin there as well that stands out in the light. So lifting that off a little bit, and I could then, you know, later on make it darker there. And then let's just see as well the bow. You know, I think it's called the philtrum here. There's a little dip, kind of a V shape between two hills. And the thing is, after you've lifted off a little bit, you'll then be inclined to go back to want to... Sorry, now I'm just going to get some more paint on my brush. After lifting off a little bit, you'll then be inclined to go and re-establish some of the tones again as well. So I feel like I want to put some more... I want to give more substance again to the lips. So I'm mixing... I'll show you my palette there. Mixing the cadmium red and the alizarin crimson together, sorry, to create that kind of colour. But I want it to be a little bit more dull, so I'm going to put some viridian green. I want it to be a little bit darker, so I put some viridian green in as well, just to have it kind of a dark red colour, and to enable me to find... this is where you need to stick the phone up. Sorry, to enable me to find... some of the darks in the area of the mouth, you know, to go back and sculpt the shape of those lips a little bit more. It might be that it's a good idea to let it dry a bit more before doing that, though. You know, the bit underneath, I don't want the line dividing the lips to bleed down into the lighter lower lip. But I'm getting away with it a bit anyway. So it's a kind of a give and take. There's a push and a pull too, like with the lifting off, you'll be putting colour back on as well. I'm just going to soften that there. Agitating the edge lifts it enough that it no longer reads as a corner, even if it doesn't come off completely. Right, and there's also a little bit more of a bump here. Okay. do want to soften this edge as well. Just as I sat back there, I felt like the outer edge of that could be made a bit less linear or something. Okay. Just put the palette on my right hand side because it was starting to get annoying there trying to reach it across me. Yeah, so I've got the red and green mix there now in order to deepen the tone of the shadow that's under the eye. Actually, it's not red and green, it's ultramarine blue mixed with cadmium red. And I'm going to indicate it in a few places. So, I hope you can see all right there. The shape of the nostril here is kind of an important shape to get. I'm pushing and lifting with the 1/4 inch brush to get the direction of it and the length of it. And then finding the other one here, which will be a slightly different shape. And while I've got that dark on the brush, I'm going to re-establish again this little touch there, I think, and maybe the corner of the mouth, and even the corner of the mouth on that side too. And I think underneath there it could be giving a bit more of a tone, but I'm going to put some green into it because I don't want it to read as lip colour. So I like to give that a slightly different shade. I'm sure I suppose I could use the greenish colour in other places too. My hand does get a bit tired holding the phone, so like I was saying to you, Emma would recommend sticking your phone up or getting some kind of a stand or something for it. Now, Lily's hair was in front of her face when I was painting over it. She pulled it back there. So. So it's possible to carve around the edges and to lift out parts if you want to. It's quite a satisfying thing to come in at this stage and begin modelling the paint that's already there. So it's not as though it's all, place it on and hope that it'll be good enough each time. There's also the possibility of carving into it once it's a little bit drier, and that's a really satisfying thing, especially if I find with this paper you can do that. And because it's quite thick heavy paper. This is the Bockingford 535 GSM, and it's the knot surface, half imperial. Because it's heavy paper, you can paint with quite a lot of fluidity, and it doesn't distress the paper or cause it to buckle too much. Now, I'm just gonna do something a bit general somewhere else. Now, you'd want to keep a radar up for whenever you feel like you're getting tight anywhere or just getting tired of it, Keep a radar up for that and do something. As soon as you start to feel that way, do something a bit more general to keep it all alive and lively, and let the water play a part as well, Maybe even play with the background. I might put something in there to describe the general shape of the shadow in the eye socket, which I could later define a bit more clearly. But I think that's all I'm going to do. Well, no, do you know what? I wanted to put in a tiny bit more colour into the area of the skin. So I've got some cadmium orange and a bit of cadmium red. I'm trying to find a clean bit on my palette. Cadmium orange and cadmium red in order. Oh, there's not much red in there. More red. So it's kind of trial and error. And like I said, having the scrap of the paper is handy, which I don't have, so I'm using the corner of the page. Show you there, I'm using. Yes, to test the colour. I might just bring a touch of it there, even if it feels like it's maybe a bit strong. Watercolour dries a shade later anyway, so it's not going to be the end of the world. And I think I might use it too on the corner of the lip. Maybe that's a bit much. Just some kind of indication of the tone there. Sorry, I think I'm maybe covering the painting with the picture on the phone. Yeah, that last touch in the forehead feels a bit dominant, so I'll just lift that off. But I'm okay with everything else, I think it's alright. Okay, so there we have it. I did a little bit more to it, and that's the photo that I was working from that I took earlier. It's on the Facebook page. Okay. So, thanks very much for tuning in. I'm wearing. Erin went and bought me stuff for the spin class tomorrow. She bought me trainers and everything, new trainers. So that's why I've got tags hanging off me. In fact, every item of clothing I'm wearing is new. 7:20 in the morning spin. Okay, good to see you tonight, and all the very best at everything. Okay, good night. I'll just let you see Lily again there. While I sign off. Oh, okay, all the best, guys.